Good afternoon. For those of you, how many of you, this is your first international event? Let me see your hands. Just so you know, the guy that was up here before me was not me. I am another human. That was my twin brother, Mike. But I think it's the first time we ever followed each other on stage. Some people don't know there's actually two of us, and they get a little freaked out, but there are two of us. So here we are in our 20th year anniversary. How many of you feel good? Well, I'm a little shocked, I'll be honest with you. 20 years? I mean, when we started our company, when I even knew of a company that was around 20 years, I was like, wow, that is ancient. Wow, what must it be like? And here we are 20 years later, and I swear it feels like yesterday. But it feels great because I can tell you that when we started ACN, we were all from the field in other companies. We all went through everything that every one of you are going through. At some point, we've experienced everything all of you are experiencing, and we wanted this so bad. And when we ended up forming ACN, it simply came out of need because everything we were doing, everything that we were aware of out there, really didn't fit what we were looking for in an opportunity. All we wanted was a company that really cared and had long-term vision, and that was going to be there if we were going to work hard. That was our intent when we started ACN from the very beginning, and here we are 20 years later. How many of you are ready to make the next 5, 10, 15, and 20 years even greater than the first? In my opinion, this is the greatest time to be a part of ACN. You know, going back in time, a lot of people wish they were there day one, and I can assure you, you don't want to be there day one. That is hard. You want to be where you are today, when 20 years of hard work is behind us, proof, credibility, all the different things going on with ACN. To me, it's kind of easy to get excited about an opportunity that is as proven as we are. The good news is that we have the track record of a 20-year-old company, but the better news is because we chose the industry of telecom and energy and all the technology that we've been promoting for the years, that all these years, 20 years later, 20-some countries, all these different services, do you know that today, with all the success stories that we have, that if you went into any area and took a look at any product category that we have less than 1/4 of 1% market penetration in anything, which means 99+% of the people still are not our customers and still are not involved in our opportunity. So how many of you like the idea of a ground floor opportunity with 20 years of proven success behind it? What I want to do is cover a couple simple things with you that I hope get you excited about the future. You know, I'm going to talk about the one thing that our company was created for, and it's customers and customer acquisition. You know, when we started ACN in 1993, we never viewed ourselves as much as a marketing company as we did a customer acquisition company. And from the very beginning of ACN, we knew that our purpose for everything that we were doing, the opportunity that we were creating, was to acquire customers. And the whole compensation plan and all the success laid out for anyone was all based on customers. Residual income is based on customers. A lot of residual income is based on a lot of customers. Bonuses are paid because someone did what? Acquired customers. So from the very beginning, we promoted a culture of customer acquisition because that is what will make everyone successful in our business. And I want you guys to know what it was like in the beginning, because here we are 20 years later, and when I talk to people or when people are relatively new to ACN, they wonder what's possible. They wonder where their focus should be. And I want to just take you back in time, because if you knew what we were able to do with a certain philosophy and culture that we promoted, if you knew what we were able to do in the early days, I want you to look at what I'm going to show you and then imagine what you can do from today going forward with where we're positioned. But in the early days, I want you to look at ACN as the original upline. We actually were the original upline. When we formed the company, that means every single person in ACN obviously had to be recruited by someone we recruited. But the interesting thing about the original upline is it was a little more complicated for us. We had a little bit more responsibility than, let's say, a typical IBO today. For example, we also had to create the company and invent the opportunity. Then after we invented the opportunity, we had to do everything around what makes a company work, make sure it was put together, and then we had to go off and recruit people, train them, and support them. Would you say it's a little more difficult to do that than it is to just be an IBO, yes or no? Okay, it was very challenging, but we were excited. We were very, very excited. But I'll tell you, 20 years ago, let me give you an example of what it was like 20 years ago. When we started, we obviously didn't have the money or the experience to be our own company, so we had to partner with a long-distance phone company. That means that when you choose a partner, that means you don't actually control the product. You don't control the pricing. You don't control the customer service. So whatever happened, we had to accept because we didn't control it. So we had when we started ACN, we had a partner and we sold for another company. We had no track record. We were working in only one market, in one country. We only had a handful of leaders because we just got started. We were marketing one service with an average revenue of $15 a month. That was the ACN opportunity. If you acquired a customer, $15 a month was the revenue you created per month from that one customer. In addition to that, we had huge obstacles. My clicker's not working. Okay, we had huge obstacles. Now check out these obstacles. Number one, in '93, we were 11 years late. That means the deregulation of telecom already happened 11 years earlier, and people were telling us we were way too late. You know, why would you start marketing the phone business today? You already missed the opportunity. And I'll tell you, it was challenging because when we started, we were at the height of competition. There were already 400 other companies out there fighting for the same customers that we were, and they had a lot more money than us. Every single day, we were competing against billion-dollar advertising, billion-dollar telemarketing campaigns. Every single day, we were up against that. We were going against companies that offered lower prices than we could offer. They were offering better plans than we could offer, and we were dealing with extremely aggressive business tactics. When I say aggressive, the competition was ruthless. Everybody was fighting for the business. We were dealing with companies doing smoke and mirror marketing. What's smoke and mirrors? That means they make it look like one thing when it's actually something else. It's hard to compete with that. Companies were doing everything in their power to prevent us from getting their business. There was things called pick restrictions. That means the company would actually get the customer to convince them to restrict their service from being moved to another company. So even if you got a customer, you had to go through a bunch of extra steps to even get them to be your customer. Companies would lose in orders. They were lying, anything to prevent you from getting business. How many of you heard of the word slamming? Slamming was out of control. Companies were doing it left and right, and that's why there are laws today against it. But imagine getting 20 customers, and you're all excited, and they're on the books, and one day they're just all gone because another company just took them. Is that challenging, yes or no? We were dealing with companies building new networks to prevent us, make it even harder to get customers. We were dealing with win-back calls and price slashing. The minute you got a customer, the company would call their customer back and say, "Why did you leave? Oh, you should have never left." Cut their prices way down, do anything to take them right back. And on top of that, the companies in the competition were sending out $100 checks to every customer that left. Now, I don't know about you. Getting a customer is one thing. That customer that leaves, imagine them getting a $100 check. All they do is got to cash it, and they go back to the other carrier. Was it challenging, yes or no? It was extremely challenging. It was extremely, I would say in some ways, in many ways, it was way more challenging than it is today. And I will tell you this. Why did we do it? Well, first of all, you have to understand that anything worth doing in life is going to be challenging. Anything worth pursuing, other people are going to want to pursue it, and it's going to be competitive. What separates the people that take advantage of great things and the people that don't are the ones that accept the challenge. How many of you in this room accept the challenge of becoming great? Well, I will tell you this. It was challenging. It was extremely challenging. Starting from scratch, here's what we did in 5 years. From starting from an idea to 5 years later, we created $400 million in annual revenue with a $15 customer for the first company that we partnered with. Now, Anybody in this room, would you mind overriding 400 million in revenue that you're getting paid residual income? Could any of you be okay with that kind of success? Why am I telling you this? Because I want you to know that we learned something very early on. And I know a lot of you in this room are big into personal growth now. Some of you are relatively new to it. But there's a book called Think and Grow Rich. I don't know if anyone in this room has ever read it before. Early on, I remember the first time I read that book personally, it said in the very beginning of the book that this contained a secret of success, that some people get it in the first chapter, some people get it in the middle, some people don't get the message until the very end. And when I was done reading the book for the first time, honestly, I didn't get the message. I thought I was a little confused. Someone else told me what they thought it was, and that was it. And I reread the book a few years later after that. The second time I read the book, because it did bother me that I didn't get it. The second time I read the book, I got it before I opened the book. And the reason why is because if any of you read the book, the message is quite simple. The message is throughout the entire book. The message basically is in the title of the book. And the title is what? Think and Grow Rich. And the point of this book is anything great that's ever happened, any success that anyone's ever chosen, anyone that's ever done anything in life, it always starts with a thought and an idea. Everything is a thought, and then that thought eventually becomes real, if you choose to be real. If you have an imagination to think of something, you want to do something, you want to create something, first it's a thought, and there is a road to take, and you will achieve what you choose to achieve. Why am I telling you this? Because if you believe in this room that you can do as much business in your organization as ACN did in our first 5 years, you will do that. Because there is a way to do it. There's always an answer, but do you believe it? You have to believe that you can be successful. You have to believe that you can have success way beyond what other people think is possible. And if you believe it, it will become your reality. Has someone else done it? Yes. If someone else did it, you can do it as well. I'm telling you this because if we had that success in 5 years, starting from a company, from scratch, no momentum, no Donald Trump, no success stories, and if we were able to go from an idea to creating 400 million in revenue with one product in one country, how many of you think we're at a better launching pad today than we were back then 20 years ago? 20 years later, here's your opportunity. You have a compensation plan that pays you bigger and better than any compensation we've ever had in history of ACN. We've continued to increase it. It is the best that it's ever been. If you would have showed me the compensation plan that we have today, 20 years ago, and said, this is what you're going to be offering 20 years from now, I wouldn't have believed it. If you knew what we offered then versus what we offer now, it's incredible. Today, the average customer that you guys are acquiring is a lot more than $15 a month. You all agree with that? So that means you've got a lot more opportunity and revenue with the same customer. Today we have credibility. Today we have a track record. Today I am telling you that any one of you in this room, you came here on Friday. Today is meant for leaders. A lot of you are here that are going to be here tomorrow, but you are here, and I want to start off by, please give yourself a hand, because for you to make the effort to be here today, you are leaders. And I'm going to speak to you as leaders. I'm not going to speak to you as someone who just signed up. If you see yourself doing something great, you can. You've got to believe it. And if we did it, you can do it with all the things that we have today. Now listen, why did we do it? Let's get our mind wrapped around this. Leaders recognize opportunity. Are you guys leaders? How many of you love the opportunity with ACN? Leaders recognize opportunity. We were excited about the opportunity to get a piece of the telecom business. We love network marketing. I think it's one of the greatest businesses ever invented. Matter of fact, I haven't found one other thing that I like more than the industry that we're in. I love the idea, my partners, all the people that we started with love the idea of marketing services over products. How many of you also agree with that? We love the telecom industry, the energy industry, and all the technology that we're involved in today, because not only is it a large industry, it's a fast-growing industry. Do you realize there are services and ideas and technology that some of you are going to get wealthy on in the future with ACN that we haven't even seen invented yet? And that's what's been going on for 20 years. What's coming that we don't know about? There are great future opportunities, but the most exciting thing why we fell in love with what we do is because it's simple. It's not easy. It is challenging, but it is simple. And if you have something simple, you can do great, great things with it. Here's our advantage. Here's why we knew we would succeed. And here's why I want you to know why you will succeed. No matter what challenge you have with ACN, we have the advantage. We have the advantage because when competition gets ferocious, what makes a difference? Relationships. It's the companies that have the relationships that will get the customers. We understood consumers because we have more than a network marketing background. We also have sales and psychology backgrounds as well that helped us understand what we were doing. That made us very confident in our approach. And when we started ACN, we started with the right attitude. And what is the right attitude? The right attitude is understanding that if you're a leader, leaders don't expect someone to do it for them. Leaders say, if it's got to be, it's up to me. Say that. If it's got to be, it's up to me. Say it again. And I say this because so many people enter our business, and they want everyone and everything to do it for them. If it isn't absolutely simple to where they don't have to lift a finger, then they don't want to do our opportunity. Well, I'll tell you the type of business we grew up in. Over 20 years ago, before we started ACN, when we got involved in a network marketing company, there was no such thing as support or training from the company. It was unheard of. The whole deal was back then is here, you get a compensation plan, and we're going to pay you all this money if you do something great. Well, can you help us with support? No, we're not going to help you. That's what we're paying you to do. That's your job to go figure it out, and if you do well, we're going to pay you well. So all I'm telling you is that we don't believe in that culture. We believe in doing everything we can to help anyone and everyone, and that's why ACN provides all the support that we can. But if you look at the support you get from ACN as over and above what you need, you guys will be successful, bigger and better, more quicker. You have to have the attitude that I don't need help, but I will take help. It's not up to someone else, an upline or a company to make me successful. It's up to you to have the right attitude. You have to know as a leader, you will always have obstacles. There will always be challenges, and that's why there's an opportunity. As a leader, you always focus on solutions. It doesn't matter if the product isn't perfect or you don't have the product you want in your market, there's always a solution. You need to focus on solutions, set a personal example, and then focus your effort on training people on how to do this business. How many of you in this room would love not just to have a minimum amount of customers, but to have 50 customers, 60 customers, or more? How many of you would like that? How many of you, even better, how many of you want a growing IBO team to where everyone in your organization, they don't just get qualified, they get qualified and they get 10, 20, 30, and 40 customers? How many of you would love a team that just exploded in customer acquisition? If you say and you believe it can happen, it will. You have to start with yourself. Focus on solutions, set an example, and focus on training. Training is everything. Why is it important that you focus on training and acquire customers? Well, a lot of reasons. One, some things you can predict, some things you can't. One big reason why it's important for you personally to acquire a lot of customers is for self-belief. I don't care how excited you are about ACN. If you don't go out and prove that what you're asking someone else to do works in your mind, you'll never be as effective as someone else who does. You owe it to yourself to go off and get a bunch of customers, because when you do that, first of all, you know it can be done, your belief goes up. Second, nothing can challenge your strength and belief because you know it actually works and you know how to teach it, and new people need to be taught. And the bottom line is if you set an example and you're a great teacher, you will get great results. Here's the kind of results you can expect. If you're a leader that says, you know what, I'm going to go beyond the average and not just promote the business, but focus on getting people to understand how to get customers, be an example, and train, 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 you will earn higher residual income than maybe a rep in the same situation you're in. Your team will earn higher residual income. Your residual income will last longer. And what does that mean? There's no such thing as a flat business. A business is either growing or a business is dying. That means your residual income will always be bigger from month to month if you have a growing business. But guess what? If your business isn't growing, well, there's always attrition. Not everyone stays for a lot of reasons. It could start going down. But an IBO that teaches customer acquisition has a healthier business because the more customers you have outside of an IBO, the longer your business lasts. That's just the way it works. People that get customers, you'll have more longevity, you'll have more loyalty, and people that get customers are way better recruiters than people who just know how to recruit because of belief. You could take two people, one that knows everything about recruiting, one that just learned how to get customers, that loves this business. They will out-recruit these people out of sheer belief and passion for the excitement of what they're doing. Does that make sense? Makes a difference. And people that get customers are better trainers because every one of you in this room, when you stand among someone who has done it, you can tell. When you stand among someone who hasn't, you can tell. All right? And the best trainers are the ones who have done what they teach. Look, attitude is everything. As a leader, you have to strengthen your belief. Strengthen your belief because you need to know the power of the mind. Just like in Think and Grow Rich, what you think is true. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. Whatever you think, you are absolutely correct. Whatever you think will be your choice, will be your direction, will be your destiny. Because whatever you choose to think is your future. You need to strengthen your belief. How many of you in this room would love to be SVPs, strong SVPs, and respectable SVPs with residuals that just are out of the world? Believe it. Strengthen your belief. How do you strengthen belief? You need to focus on things that are positive. Focus on why someone should be your customer. Learn how to understand under the greatest challenges, why should someone be my customer under the most challenging situations? Focus on that. You need to get beyond any little thing that you think is a hiccup. I say this because I have IBOs come up to me and they say, well, Tony, this is an issue and this is an issue. I said, no, that's actually not an issue. That's your issue. That's your issue. Since you've created an issue, you're going to make it an issue for the whole world because it's your issue. If you can't get over something and learn how to get through an obstacle, you will not make it. Leaders go through obstacles, they get around obstacles, they go under obstacles, but obstacles do not stop them. They are solution-oriented. Focus on a solution to an issue. Issues on it, not issues, they all have solutions. And after you focus on that, you need to become an effective trainer. Bottom line is lead. Leaders lead. Leaders have strength. Leaders have confidence. That doesn't mean you're not going to second guess yourself. That doesn't mean you're not going to have ups and downs. It's okay. If you have a down day, hey, you have a down day. Get up and lead. Lead, lead, and you guys will be great leaders in this business and great things will happen. Why is effective customer acquisition training so important? How do you have an effective training when you teach someone else? Well, you need to simplify what we're doing. Don't overwhelm people. You know, nobody's going to enter ACN day one and be superstars. It is a process. But we do want people to not get overwhelmed, but we want them to be excited. So when people get started, whether it's going to be a personal training you do with someone, or maybe your weekly training that you're doing, or maybe it's a leadership training, one of those trainings you have to focus on customer acquisition and help the new person understand how we do this. And when you teach someone, here's basically the formula of being an effective trainer. Number one, you have to teach an approach that actually works. Because if you teach something that doesn't work, that will hurt you. So you have to teach an approach that works, and you have to teach it in a way that it sounds like it works, so someone gets excited and wants to run out the door and do it. Does that make sense? How do you do that? Is you have to come up with the right approach, promote the approach the right way for a new person to understand it. You have to explain why it works to get their mind wrapped around it. Tell stories, use testimonials, and you should recognize anybody that follows the plan the way they should. Always focus on results. I always tell people, you know how you can know if you did a good training? When people left that topic and they actually did what you asked them to do. If you go to a training or do a training and people aren't doing what you're expecting them to do, you need to improve your training, okay? It's that simple. So let's talk about it. I want to tell you what we're going to be doing in ACN. I want to tell you how we plan on this year in 2013 and going forward, how we want to help you as a company. And I'm speaking on behalf of ACN. I am also speaking on behalf of all the Circle of Champion members. We're all on the same page, how we are going to take the culture that we've always promoted and take it to a whole new level. We want to see you, the up-and-coming leaders here today, the new wave of leaders that are going to be RVPs and SVPs. We want to see you come across the stage with twice the residual income success than the current leaders. And we're going to help you do that in every way we can by promoting the right culture to help you guys really advance your businesses when it comes to customer acquisition. So let's just talk a little basics about it. Now, what I'm going to do now, here's what I want to do. There's two things that people need to learn when it comes to customer acquisition. It's basically the facts they need to know about the services or the focus in your particular market. And then there's the high-level concept of how you actually get someone to want to be your customer. I'm going to do the high-level concept because people are so tied up in the wrong thing, they got the wrong issue going on, and that's why some people don't have success in customer acquisition. But if I help you understand this one simple thing, I promise you it will make a major difference. Some of this will sound slightly familiar, but I hope I just go to one level deeper where a light bulb goes off. Look, we all know that when we ask somebody to get customers, we say there are three sources. Source number one would be obviously yourself as an IBO. Source number two would be the people that you invite to look at the business. If they don't get involved, you ask them to be a customer, and then everybody else would be source number three. Obviously, look at source 2 and 3. That is what you got to get good at. Obviously, someone being loyal to ACN and getting on the services, most IBOs make that choice. But if you can get these prospects that are at your home meetings that don't get involved to become customers, how many of you think it would be cool that if someone didn't join the business, they did become your customer? Would that be cool? How awesome would it be? How many customers would you have if every time someone didn't get involved, they became your customer? How many customers would you have? How many customers could you have if even if someone was thinking about it, they became your customer? Would that be cool? Yes or no? Absolutely. So if you can improve your odds here, it will make a big difference. Well, everyone knows that we're in the sorting business, but I want to give you a fact. Do you know what the number one reason is why someone becomes any of our customers? The number one reason. Whatever you think it is, hold that in your mind for a second, I'll tell you what it is. The number one reason someone becomes our customer is simply because someone asked them to. That's the number one reason. Do you know the number one reason someone doesn't become our customer? Number one reason. Someone didn't ask them to become a customer. So let's get that straight first. I say this because do you know that if you do a bad job at customer acquisition, but you actually try, people fall into one of three categories: the red, the green, the brown, apples. But I will tell you this, you do a bad job, but you talk to a lot of people, 10% will say yes, 10% will say no, but 80% fall in the green apple category. Now, how many of you could handle a yes? Can y'all handle that? How many of you know that we just simply move on when we come across the rotten apples or the brown apples, right? See, it's the 80%. If you get good at handling the 80% and understand how to teach people how to handle the 80%, you will improve your customer acquisition immensely. So here's some things you got to do. Are you leaders in this room, yes or no? Are you leaders? Okay, here's what leaders need to do. Leaders need to go a little bit beyond what they expect someone else to do. What is that? That means in your market, you have to make sure you are fully up to speed on the products that you guys are focusing on. That means you should be up to speed. If you don't know what you're talking about or you look confused, guess what? Everyone's going to be confused. As so the leader, so does the team go. You need to learn about your products, make sure anything and everything you're doing, from customer surveys or however you're doing your market, you've got to be on top of it. Next thing you need to know the most frequently asked questions or issues that arise in your market with your products and know how to handle them. You need to know that because that's going to be where the 80% comes in. And you have to be good at setting the right expectations. So don't say something about what we're doing that's different than what it actually is. Now, after you do that, another thing you need to accept, here's the key word, accept, is the characteristics of most consumers, because you've got to get good at explaining this to people. For example, what I'm going to tell you is not an opinion. This is a fact. Most people, whatever product they're looking to get, most people buy things emotionally, and they back it up, and they convince themselves why they did it logically. Okay? And all that means, and I'm sure every one of us in this room, maybe at one point or another, did you ever go out to purchase something? Maybe for the women it was a purse or a guy, going to get a car, and you had this budget in mind. And then you went there and you got emotionally and excited about something else. Like, you're looking at the car that you're supposed to buy, and next to it is the car that you want to buy. And all of a sudden, the salesman noticed you looking at it and says, hey, listen, I noticed you're checking out this other car. I know you're not going to get it, but why don't you come on over here and just take a look at it? Why don't you sit in it? Wow, you look good in that car. I got to tell you, man, everything changed. Wow. Now, next thing you know, you're driving home in the car that you were not supposed to buy. Your family runs out. What are you doing? What are you doing? I thought you were getting in the car. Yeah. Now you start convincing everyone.